friends, and welcome you all back to the channel. For today's video, I am gonna explain you about the equipments and when and how to build them in a match. So Clash of Titans is a new game, so there are many new players. Also, many of you have insisted me to make this video. So I am making this as the first video of the series because there are many equipments at present in Clash of Titans. So there will be 5 more episodes on this series. So in today's video, I will be explaining the Tier 1 and Tier 2 equipments in the first 3 sections. The Tier 1 and Tier 2 equipments are as important as Tier 3 equipments. So you can't wait to buy the whole equipment until you get the whole gold needed for that equipment, right? So these Tier 1 and Tier 2 equipments plays a substitute role until you buy the main equipment. Also, if you are watching the video for the first time in our channel, please hit the subscribe button to support me more. Also, don't miss out on the future episodes. So all these things out of the way, let's get right into the video. Now let us look at the cost of the equipments by which they are arranged. The cost of the Tier 1 equipments ranges from 100 to 600 gold. The Tier 2 equipment cost ranges from 500 to 1200 gold. Then the equipments that are found more than 1200 gold, they are the Tier 3 equipments. So the basic things you have to know. The general stats of an equipment can be stacked up to how many times you wish. But the unique passive of the equipment which the equipment can only offer cannot be stacked more than once. So for example, if you buy an equipment, let it be Spear of Longinus, it has 80 normal attack damage as general stat, right? So if you buy 5 of this item, you will end up having 400 normal attack damage and 5 into the other general stats. But the passive of reducing 60 armor remains the same. It won't changes to 300 armor reduction. So now let us look at the equipments that are found in the attack section, the Tier 1 and Tier 2 equipments. The first is the short sword, which gives you 20 normal attack damage. For the equipments that gives you normal attack damage, either Tier 3 or Tier 2, the short sword will be the first equipment you will buy. The next is the dagger, which gives you 10% attack speed. For the equipments that gives attack speed, the dagger will be the first equipment you will buy. So the next is the gloves, which gives you 12% critical chance. For the Tier 3 equipments that gives you critical chance more than 15%, the gloves is the common equipment you will buy. As I said before, general stats can be stacked, right? So in the early games, you can buy 4 gloves which gives you around 48% critical chance, or you can buy more than that, which is considered to be so much in the early games for the critical chance based titans like Wukong. The Bloodied Cub gives 10 normal attack damage and 8% lifesteal. This will be the Tier 1 equipment for the lifesteal equipments like Beast, Fafnir's Talon and Bloodthirsty Bow. So the 8% lifesteal is not so much in the early games but will be helpful until you buy the Tier 3 item. The Chain Hammer gives 40 normal attack damage. This is a Tier 1 item for the Tier 3 equipments like Fafnir's Talon, Death Sickle and Rank Breaker. The next item is the Claymore that gives you a clean 80 normal attack damage, which is the Tier 2 equipment for the equipments that gives more than 90 attack damage like Beast, Soul Detainer, Fenrir's Tooth and Clave's Sanctity. The Arcane Hammer gives you 25 normal attack damage and 15% attack speed, with a passive that increases your movement speed by 10% when your normal attacks hit a target. It is the Tier 2 equipment for Omni Arms. The Tempest Blades grants 25% attack speed and 5% movement speed, which is the Tier 2 item for the equipments that gives you both attack speed and movement speed like Blitz Blade, Slick Sting and Devil's Handshake. The Gladiator Spear gives 50 normal attack damage with a unique passive of 60 armor penetration, which is the Tier 2 item for the armor penetration equipments like Spear of Longinus, Murumasa and Rank Breaker. The Shuriken grants you 20% attack speed with a very good passive of dealing additional damage to the target, which is equal to 20 plus Titan level in case of melee Titans you play, and 40 plus Titan level into 2 in case of ranged Titans like Marksmen. So, you will deal an additional damage of around 35 when you are a melee Titan and 70 when you are a ranged Titan. So, it is basically good for Marksmen. If you enjoy this video, a hit on the like button would be appreciated. And make this video get 100 likes, it will boost me to make the next episodes faster. Now let us hop on to the magic section. The spell tome is the first and most common equipment in the magic section. This gives you 40 ability power. So basically almost all the equipments in this section gives ability power. So this is the tier 1 item for almost all the equipments in the magic section. The Lapis Ring gives you 300 max mana. It is purchased only before you buy Gear in this section. Also, the tier 1 equipment for AGs in the defense section. So, if you are a Titan with low mana and regen, you can buy this ring in the early games to use more abilities without getting to the base often. The Pendant of Faith grants 10 mana per 5 seconds. So basically for the Titans who didn't have much mana regen in the early games can buy this 1 or 2 to keep them going. Also the cost of this equipment is low. This is the common tier 1 equipment for the tier 2 and tier 3 equipments that gives mana regen. The Ancient Scroll grants 60 ability power and 10 mana per 5 seconds. The perfect early game equipment with ability power and mana regen. The item that comes before Berith's Agony, Apocalypse and Boomstick. Magic Ring is an equipment without any general stats but with only passive of 10% cooldown reduction, which is the common tier 1 equipment for all the tier 2 and tier 3 equipments that grants cooldown reduction in all the equipment sections. The next is the Enchanted Scroll that gives you 120 ability power, which is the tier 2 item for the equipments that gives you more than 190 ability power, like Holy of Holies, Hecate's Daedom, etc. The Trick Blade gives you 40 ability power and 10% cooldown reduction with a great passive that when you use your skill, the next normal attack deals additional magic damage with a cooldown of 3 seconds. This is the tier 2 equipment only purchased for Apocalypse. The next is the Spooky Mask that grants you 100 ability power with a unique passive of 75 magic penetration, which is so useful in the early games. Both your team and the enemies only have the Gilded Greaves as the magic defense in the early games. So the Spooky Mask is more than enough to deal a lot of damage in the early games. This is the mandatory item for equipments like Evil Secret, Soaring Aura, Staff of Null and Frost Guard. Phoenix Tears is also one of the good early game equipments that grants 50 ability power with a passive that restores 10% mana and 20% HP over 3 seconds when you reach a new level. Basically, it is useful until you reach level 15. Until then, you can keep it like this or complete with Orb of Magie, the only tier 3 equipment that needs Phoenix Tears. The Virtuous Bracelet gives you 60 ability power, 5% cooldown reduction and 20 mana per 5 seconds. An upgraded version of Pendant of Faith, you can say, with extra regen, cooldown reduction and ability power. The second tier equipment before you buy Tome of Reaper. The next is Lad's Impaler that gives you 90 ability power with a unique passive of 15% magic lifesteal. You will end it with Ria's Blessing with 25% lifesteal. It is not very good in the early games cause your damage will be very low, greatly useful in the late games. Opening up the defense section, at the first we have Ring of Vitality, which gives you 300 max HP, the common item for most of the equipment that increases your max HP in all the equipment sections. Light Armor gives you 90 armor, which is pretty decent in the early games. The basic item for all the tier 3 and tier 2 equipments, which grants armor in all sections. The Gladiator's gauntlets give you 90 magic defense, which is also a pretty good item for the early game. Also the common first item for all the magic defense equipments. The Talisman of Strength restores 30 HP every 5 seconds. For equipments like Mantle of Ra, Gaia Standard and Amulet of Longevity. Also for Belt of Clarity, this is the tier 1 equipment. The Necklace of Vitality grants 600 max HP, which is the tier 1 item for the equipments that give less than 100 max HP. The Greaves of Protection is also a very good early game equipment that gives you 1000 max HP. The equipments like Shield of the Lost, Mail of Pain, Odin's Will and Amulet of Longevity have this as their tier 2 item. The Heart of the Incubus grants you 150 armor with a unique passive of dealing 50 per 2 per level magic damage to all the nearby enemies every second. Also, it deals 50% more damage to minions and wildlings. The equipment used only for completing Mantle of Ra. The Belt of Clarity gives you 110 magic defense and 700 max HP with a good passive of restoring 4% of HP over 2 seconds when you take damage, with a cooldown of 15 seconds. So, in the early games, if there is more than one mage in the enemy team, you can go for Belt of Clarity for some magic defense, and it can give you a little more sustain in the early team fights. The Platinum Gauntlets grants you 10% cooldown reduction and 110 armor, which is a basic item for all the equipments which gives both armor and cooldown reduction like Aegis, Frost Cape and Soul Detainer. Coming to the final equipment, Knight's Plate. It is an item which is good from the early games till the late games because it gives you 210 armor and a passive of reducing attack speed by 15% of the enemies who attack you. You can complete this item with Aegis or Shield of the Lost. Also, when you face more than one attack speed based enemies in the early games, you can go for it with no hesitation. So that's all for today's video, friends. If you find this video helpful, kindly smash the like button and share it with your friends. Also, this series have 5 more episodes, so if you don't wanna miss out them, don't forget to subscribe the channel. If you wanna know what is attack damage, critical damage, magic damage and true damage, I will give you the link of the video in the description so that you can check it out. The video that explains everything perfectly done by Seronix. So, see you all in the next video, friends. Until then, bye bye and have a great day.
Everything that brought me